Welcome to Portraits in Music from the Richardson Symphony Orchestra. I'm Shauna Morin, Director of Audience Development. Together with Music Director Clay Couturier, we will take you behind the scenes for inspiring conversations with our guest artists and a closer look at what makes the symphony come alive. Whether you're a longtime concertgoer or just curious about orchestral music, you'll find something special here. This is your backstage pass to the stories, creativity, and passion at the heart of the Richardson Symphony. Welcome back, and we are here at season 6 of Portraits in Music here at the Richardson Symphony, and we're so excited to have you back with us, or welcome if you are new to our podcast. We are going to be talking today about our upcoming season, our 64th year here in Richardson, and our 2025-2026 season.
That's right. And I've been here since 2012, so that makes 13 seasons, I think. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And we love having Clay here. He is fantastic. If you haven't been to the symphony, definitely you have to come check us out. But we're going to dive in and share why you should come to the symphony because it makes everything a little more exciting if you know what to expect.
There's nothing like live music, especially symphonic music. I'm a little biased and I grew up with it, and I think that's a good way to start. But the symphony orchestra repertoire there's just nothing like it, and I recommend it for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, I grew up in it as well. Different, definitely. I did not play an instrument. I play my vocal cords. Clay over here plays cello before he got into the conducting world.
I got the conducting bug, and once you get it, it's hard to get rid of it. So.
Absolutely, definitely. And then, of course, his kids and my kids, all of our kids here at the symphony, I feel like most of us got our kids into the
Yeah,
orchestra world
in
or musical world.
in one way or another, yes.
Definitely. So, what we're trying to say is come immerse yourself with us in this experience because it really is. Experiencing live symphonic music is by far one of the best ways to experience music.
And every concert is different in that regard. Whether it's a classical concert or a pops concert, each one is special in its own way.
Absolutely. So let's dive on in.
Sure.
We have a wonderful lineup this year. Clay has put together such a fabulous list of repertoire. Of course, composers that we love, composers that are maybe new to you, new to us, and I think that's really what we try to do is keep it diverse, keep it relevant, as well as make sure that we have the meat and potatoes of the orchestra world.
It is like a meal. The season is, and each concert is. So you have your staples. You know what to expect, but you had to sometimes add a few different things for variety. You don't want to eat the same thing every time.
Absolutely. So our opening night actually it's a big hitter. We're gonna hit it right out of the park. We're going home run straight away. Can you share a little bit more about why you picked the repertoire that you did pick?
Well, the large work for the orchestra on that is work by Richard Strauss, German composer, called Ein Heldenleben, a hero's life. And if it's a for me, it's a bucket list for any musician and any conductor. It's just a large scale work. When you come to the orchestra that night, you're going to see a huge number of musicians on the stage. It calls If the orchestra normally has 4 or 5 horns on the stage, you're going to have 8 horns, French horns, and the large brass section. To complement that, you have to have a large string section to balance out the orchestra. Uh, Strauss himself, I say it's a bucket list just because Strauss in general, musicians like to play his works. It's just lush, well-rounded music. And if you break Strauss's life up into 2 halves, basically, the first half he wrote instrumental music, mainly tone poems, which are single movement works. Uh, and there are shorter ones like Till Eulenspiegel. This one is a longer one, 45 minutes. The second half of his life, he mainly worked with operas. But it's just a fantastic work. It shows off the orchestra. It's very virtuosic as a orchestra as a whole, but also prominent solos like our concertmaster Elizabeth Atkins. There's a big solo for her. Uh, it's called A Hero's Life because it's really about himself, and each different instruments portray different characters. That solo I mentioned portrays his wife. He is portrayed by the horn. I keep bringing back the horn. Strauss's father played the horn. But this is a large scale work that that you'll walk out remembering these big, long, big melodies. But also on the program, that's the second half. But the first half of the program features Andres Ionita, a virtuosic cellist who was a winner of the Tchaikovsky competition, which is a huge, prestigious competition in Russia. And he's going to play the Schumann Cello Concerto, and it's one of the prominent romantic style concertos that the repertoire for the instrument, for the cello. That being Dvorak, I would say Elgar and Schumann. Schumann came before these three. It's in three movements, but it's also in a way a singular work because it's attacca. It's continuous throughout, and it's very expressive. It's known for its lyrical qualities, but Schumann was also a pianist in addition to composer, and so it has a lot of what I would call piano and string or chamber music elements to it. So in fact, while in the second movement the cello soloist is playing, the principal cellist of the orchestra has a mini solo. Then they play chamber music together. So there's that type of chamber music element to it. So I'm really looking forward to this first opening concert.
Absolutely. It's going to be wonderful. I believe for people who are seasoned concert goers, even for individuals who've never stepped foot into a orchestral performance before, this would be one definitely to see and witness.
And for a regional orchestra like the Richardson Symphony to play a piece like Ein Heldenleben, this is the type of repertoire major symphony orchestras, New York Philharmonic and things like that. This is on their uh, screen, and so for us to do this is fantastic.
Yeah, you're not going to see this at many regional orchestras
Exactly,
because of the size of the
and the
orchestra. It
difficulty of
is challenging. I think one of my favorite quotes from our musicians this end of this last season where they were talking about, well, I need to start practicing 2 months ago for this
exactly.
piece. So it's going to be
Every conductor likes
wonderful.
to hear that from the musicians too. Yeah.
Very prepared. We love
Yes.
that. Even with our auditions that we're going through, it's of course one of the biggest. All the musicians know it's going to be on audition sheets.
Yes.
So it's one that every musician dreams to play, but don't often get the opportunity to
Yes.
play.
They always play it on auditions, but to play it on the stage is just a beautiful thing.
Definitely. What do you think people can expect to experience if they choose to come to the concert for that first night?
Well, as I was saying, you'll see a large orchestra. Uh, you'll get to witness the collaboration between Andres and the orchestra. I think that's always there's a certain rapport you have with soloists in conductor and soloist in orchestra, and I think the trade-off, especially in a chamber music type of concerto like this one, like the Schumann, you'll not only hear the trade-off, but you'll visually see the communication between all the musicians.
Definitely. And he's young. He's a young buck,
Yes,
so
I think he's 31 or so.
yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but and he won the Tchaikovsky competition in 2015. So if you can imagine being 21 or so when you won a competition like that, just a remarkable talent.
Absolutely. And he also performs in a trio with one of our other favorite guest artists, Will Hagen. So
Yes,
he is very adept and
we have to
equipped to
bring Will
do
back
this. I
sometime. I
know.
think
Oh my
this.
goodness. We will do that sometime. We promise. Maybe. But speaking, because we do have other guest artists coming this season,
Yes,
we have Eunice Kim, who is the associate concert master in
the
Dallas at the
Dallas Symphony.
GSO.
Yes,
We have John Camaro Parker, who has performed with us previously.
yes. The many years ago, before my tenure, but I've known of him before, and I'm glad to bring him back to the orchestra.
Definitely. What do you think why is it important to bring in a well-rounded group of guest artists?
Well, you want a variety. When I look for soloists, I'm looking for um, the type of personality that they have in their playing. Because when they're playing, let's say uh, Andres is playing Schumann and Eunice is going to play the Barber Violin Concerto in November, and John Camaro Parker is going to play the Ravel Piano Concerto in G for a season finale, which we'll get to in a minute. Uh, each of those pieces has their own character to it that the composer has put into that. but that only goes so far, in my opinion. The performer has their own personality. It's their interpretation of what they believe the composer is saying. So I like to find variety of personalities that fits the character of those pieces. But it's always fascinating to me to see how these talented people play these different works.
Have you worked with Eunice before?
I have. We performed the Tchaikovsky violin concerto. She was on staff at the University of North Texas, where I teach, and so we performed that before. And I thought I've got to get her down here in Richardson at some point. She's just such a wonderful person, but just a fabulous violinist.
And what I really enjoy about our orchestra and our community and how you decide to do a lot of these things is local community involvement.
Yes.
So when you come to our concerts, you see musicians on stage and our orchestra who they live in the area. We're not flying in people from anywhere else around the country. It's all people who are relatively close by to us or within driving
Well,
distance.
and the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, we're very fortunate that in the United States there is a lot of talent. Uh, as far as freelance work for musicians, but other types of work too. It's musicians, music. The music world is a small world, and the musicians know this area is really prominent for orchestral playing.
Definitely. And also bringing in important people like Eunice Keem, who people can go to, obviously, Dallas and see her perform with the Dallas Symphony.
Yes.
And just keeping it very local. Even we'll talk about this a little bit later on a different episode, but our Eisman International Young Artist Competition, we also have Alex Kerr, who is the concertmaster of Dallas Symphony, who's one of our
One
jury
of our
panels.
judges. Yes, that's
And
right.
we really wanted to keep it local. We really because we have so much talent. We are budding. We are very blessed to be in the type of community that we are.
Well, as the same as our music programming, just our selection of soloists and judges and everything else we do, it's also a meal of sorts. You want to have show off local talent. At the same time, we want to sometimes bring in from outside just to collaborate. When those people go off, they remember the Richardson Symphony too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I'm really enjoying, I think, with this upcoming season is our December Pops concert. We are involving one of our local church choirs, which we have also worked with before.
Yes.
And we use their facility for our auditions, for the young artist competition.
Yes, the First United Methodist Church and their choir will perform, and they did. I think it was 3 or 4 seasons ago. And Mike Lightfoot, who he's their music minister, is a delight to work with. And we had so much fun then. We thought it's time to bring them back, and so there'll be just what you might think for a holiday pops concert, but it's all about arrangements for me. It's what can we bring new to joy to the world or to oh come all you faithful. That's these standards that people know, but an arrangement is just like for actors, a screenwriter can make the difference, right? And how these actors pull off some of this stuff. So uh, the arrangements that we try to find are just exhilarating, and it's going to be a great concert.
Absolutely. And I absolutely encourage everyone in our community, surrounding communities, wherever you are. We have people who drive in 3 hours to come to our concerts. Please come to this one.
Yes,
And it's going to sell really fast. So I recommend as soon as you can get your tickets because,
the holiday pops usually does. Yeah.
yes, and it's just a family event. Everyone can come. It brings so much joy before you kick off your Christmas season, or it just is the event to come
And
to.
what I like, we usually have it the first Saturday of December before everybody gets really busy with their personal affairs with as far as the holidays are concerned.
Absolutely. You can come help finish digesting that week after Thanksgiving with
That's
us
right. That's
and
right.
enjoy some really great Christmas music. Another really great Pops concert that we do have coming up will be in February. This one I'm really excited for. I think for our location, of course, Texas in general. When people think about Texas, what do you think of? You think of boots, jeans, cowboy hats. So, of
Country
course,
music.
we're doing Legends of Country Music.
Yes. Uh, what I like about this concert too is what you typically think of country music is country western bands. There'd be guitars and steel guitars and some rhythm and things like that. But it can lend itself to symphonic backup. And again, I was talking about arrangements earlier. Uh, what can the orchestra bring out in this music? And for me, the reason we can do this music is I don't care what genre. I've said this before. It doesn't matter of the genre. I don't like to think of classical and jazz and country and rock and all. I like to think of there's good music and there's not so much good music. Now you can categorize them like I just said within that, but there's so much great. I love country music. I really do. Uh, but to add a symphony orchestra as the backdrop to it, you get a different portrayal of what this music is about, and so that's always fun for me to have pops concerts like this.
Definitely. And we have some really amazing talent who are joining us for that concert. They both have been on either American Idol or America's Got Talent, The Voice. And so having Patrick and Rachel join us, Patrick is also going to be playing guitar. He's a very talented musician himself.
Yes.
And it's always fun in February because in the concert, Clay obviously has his back turned to us most of the time, but when you're in the audience, it's the electric feeling that you're getting, the energy of the people. You have everyone dressed up. There's people dancing in the aisles. There's people singing along to the music. It is absolutely not your typical symphony
And
concert.
symphony conductors can own hats too. So I might
Yes,
just bring out my black cowboy hat on this one.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Maybe a bolo tie too.
Yeah.
We'll see. You better come. You'll find out what Clay's gonna be wearing. It's always an entertaining time.
But to have classics like Crazy, Patsy Cline, or we're going to do some Johnny Cash, of course,
Yes.
and Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton,
A
um,
little bit of Willie Nelson in there.
Willie Nelson too. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of everything for country music.
Definitely, and it'll be so much fun. The rehearsals are always a blast to go through and see the progress and see how the musicians love the pops
Oh, they
concerts.
do. They love to collaborate with musicians outside of the classical style that they're usually playing, and it they look forward to working with artists like this.
Definitely, it will be a really grand time. Then, of course, March we have our young artist who wins the Eisman competition back. This
Hmm.
year it is for strings, and we do have international competitors, so they come from
All
all
over the
around the
world.
world.
Yes, and we typically alternate years between piano and strings, and this will be a string year. And you had mentioned Alex Kerr as a judge, and it's at the First United Methodist Church. We encourage people to come to the competition itself too, but the culmination of that is this March concert. And in addition to the winner, and we don't know, of course, what the musical selection will be
Yeah,
for that, but we do know that there will be Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet, the Overture Fantasy, which has one of the most iconic melodic lines in all of the repertoire. Um, you'll recognize it from many movies, of
yes,
course, Romeo and Juliet movie,
yes.
but other movies as well. And a work by De Falla, the Spanish composer, The Three Cornered Hat. He wrote this ballet, and there's just a suite from that, and it's just wonderful festive music too.
It'll be a really great way to spend your March, especially it's right before spring break, so none of the kids are out
That's
yet.
right.
It would be a great one for children to come to as well, just to see a younger individual play this kind of music. It really is an inspiration to them.
It is because this competition is prominent and it leads to these soloists going off and doing wonderful things. They'll we've had several winners go off into to have a career in Europe. Uh, Aaron Ogwin was a bassist who has major work in Europe right now, and Santiago Cañon Valencia was a cellist who won earlier in my tenure, I think around 2014 or so. And he's gone on to win other competitions throughout Europe and has a solo career, which is hard to do these days.
It really is.
Yeah.
The competition is tight, even though there's this myth about classical music that it's dying out, but it really isn't.
No,
Don't believe what you hear.
someone will always take the reins from what was left and continue going on. I that's with all great art. I truly believe that it will continue. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the culmination of this whole entire season, as you can tell, we didn't really talk about it, but we're doing Beethoven's Eroica, his third
Oh
symphony,
yeah, we missed in November
which,
when Eunice plays the
oh
barber.
my goodness, we
Yes,
can't miss that one.
yes.
We've
That
been,
every musician and conductor, all nine Beethoven symphonies, is just in their blood. It's just they if you do this job long enough, you you can't get that out of your system. And I love all of them in different ways, but this one is it's uh it's also the Eroica, the heroic. So we have from going from October, a different type of heroic idea, to this one with Beethoven. And just to talk a little bit, Beethoven and Strauss are some of my favorites. And so a little bit about Beethoven. Any of his genres, whether it's the piano sonatas, the cello sonatas, symphonies, string quartets, you can all divide it up into three periods. He's got the early period, middle period, and late period. And the Eroica, number 3 out of 9, starts the beginning of the middle period. What does that mean? It's Beethoven's known for bringing the symphonic world, or just all of classical music as a general term, from the classical era to the romantic era. And for orchestras, he does that by enlarging the orchestra. So instead of two horns, which was typical at the time, we have three horns. He also expands the size of the and length of the symphony from the first two symphonies, 26, 7 minutes, to this one's almost 50 minutes. What does he do? He's all about development. He has little motives, whereas Brahms would have longer lines, right? But he develops them over and over again, and it's interesting to see how he does it. But to go from that's a lot of development if you're going from 20 something minutes to almost 50, right? So how he does that is fascinating to me. Um, just a quick wrap up of that. The late period, it starts with the eighth and ninth symphonies. So you have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and eight and nine. Uh, One other quick fascinating thing about the Eroica Symphony is he originally dedicated it to Napoleon, who lived during Beethoven's time. But Napoleon did this crazy thing, declaring himself as emperor. And Beethoven said, "No, I don't want any part of that. I disagree with that." And he took his pen and literally on the manuscript scraped out. You can see it on the manuscript, a scraped out portion of that page, and eventually dedicated to someone else. But it was very meaningful, to who these works were dedicated to Beethoven.
absolutely. I love Beethoven as well.
Yes.
I mean, who doesn't love Beethoven? He was the original rock artist of his time too.
Yes, yes. You can see it in his hair. It's just wild.
Exactly. But yeah, it'll be really wonderful. It's such a great season, and we're finishing it out with a wonderful way to wrap up, I think, the 64th.
Yes, Rachmaninoff's symphonic dances. Um, when you're the conductor, you get to pick a lot of your favorites. You try to, but your favorites should be what all the audience likes too. I mean, it goes both ways. But Rachmaninoff, for his piano concertos, of course, but his symphonies and his symphonic dances, which is one of his last orchestral works, one of his last works, period, towards the end of his life. And there are three movements. There's three dances, and they all have their own moods, and we'll talk about that when we do a podcast for that concert. Um, but by that time, he was influenced by jazz, so there's rhythmic elements to it that would be more on the jazz side of things. There's a saxophone within the orchestra that has a prominent solo, but that's not a usual orchestral instrument. So for him, and he knew that. So for him to put that in there is he's having fun by this point. Um, he dedicated this work to the Philadelphia Orchestra, and he called that orchestra the best orchestra in the world during his lifetime, and which is true. I'm biased because I agree with him, especially for that time period. Of course, he could have said it just so Eugene Ormandy would have him guest conduct and things. No, he's absolutely right. I personally have a connection with Rachmaninoff and Strauss because those composers performed with the Philadelphia Orchestra and the Cleveland Orchestra. My predecessor, who was my mentor, Rancho Brusilov, played in those orchestras. So a lot of what we learn, things get handed down in the history of music and in performing too. And so Strauss, when he wrote these pieces, he worked with George Zell and would tell him things about the score. Zell was the Cleveland Orchestra conductor. So he would tell his musicians things, and those musicians would tell the next generation of musicians. So that's what I love, to get the stories that just aren't even in the history books. A lot of it is oral, and you understand. And some things, you can't always learn from a book. You have to be told, and you experience. It's from experience, and music is all about that.
I think it also comes to show when you watch the conductor or yourself, I guess. Don't watch your that would be weird. But if you're up
There are
there,
conductors who'll do that. Look at their hand and go, "I can't stand things like that. It's not my."
just don't throw the baton.
Yeah,
But,
that's true too.
but what I enjoy from a audience member perspective is you can tell which pieces the conductor really has an emotional attachment to or really is enjoying conducting.
Hmm.
The passion comes out from you as a conductor, and the orchestra really picks up on that. So it really is a lot about the energy, the feeling, what you're giving out, and then it comes back on to the audience. So that's, I honestly think, what makes orchestral concerts or music concerts and any kind of concert in general where you're experiencing live music in person, you can feel all of the emotion that is being put in because it comes back out.
I like to think of it like this: the, the conductor is portraying for the musicians the emotional element. Of course, they're beating time and keeping things together, but a great orchestra can play together without the conductor. They should. But you are portraying in movement all these things you just said: the emotion, the style, the personality is all in gesture. It's all about gesture, like a dancer. The dance is music in motion. This gesture puts the musician in a place to succeed in what they're trying to express.
Definitely. And I think it's interesting. I was just at the Fort Worth Modern Art Museum,
Hmm.
and I believe it's Audrey Williams who has an exhibit in there right now. And he is a beautiful painter from in Africa. I don't remember exactly where, I'd have to look back, but I loved reading his quote that they had big on the wall in his exhibit. And it said, the reason why he began painting is he heard Shostakovich's First Symphony, and all he could hear were the colors. And so they have that piece of art that set off his whole entire career in that display as well. And it's beautiful how much music really can influence an individual
And
person.
that goes both ways too. Isn't it great how art can influence other art? It's like you said, there's a painting of the Isle of the Dead that Rachmaninoff wrote a tone poem about. So that they can take a painting, becomes music, or music becomes a painting. I will say this: a painting, once the painter is done, it's set, and it can influence and bring out in people different emotions, right? But once it's set there, that's an end product of what it is, as far as the physical aspect of it. The emotional aspect can be many different things and can change over time. But musical composition, of course, once the composer is done, and sometimes they come and revise and things like that. But uh, that's the end of it. There, the interpreters come and perform it, but it can be performed many different ways, and even the same performers can perform it the next night in a different way. Even when they're trying to sometimes do the same way, it comes out a little different because that specific amount of time on that is an event. That's why live music is special.
Absolutely.
Now, some people, when they go to concerts and they've heard it on recordings, they think, "Why isn't it just like the recording?" They're expecting certain things, uh, but live music is is just a different beast per se, and so I wouldn't always get myself wrapped up in just hearing it the same way each time.
Absolutely. Another example, sorry, I know this has nothing to do with it. Well, it sort of is. That's what we're talking about. But when I worked for the Billings Symphony, we had Will Hagen, who we just talked about earlier, and he performed Korngold's.
Violin
concerto.
concerto.
Yep, with us. And then I was just in Utah at the Utah Symphony, and their guest artist performed the Corn Gold Violin Concerto, and it, like you just said, it completely different interpretations of the piece, completely different performance of the piece, not only obviously with the orchestra, different orchestra, but as the guest artist performing it, and violinists who are solo violinists. This is one of the major ones that they have on their roster usually.
Yes.
And so it was very interesting just to see the two different versions of that music and where you could feel the different emotions that they felt.
Well, and listening at a concert is an active type of listening. You're not just receiving, but you're engaging yourself into the music to see what comes out of the music. For those that I had mentioned, think, why isn't it just like the recording? Well, you love that piece so much. I think the reason is you love what you've heard so much. You're wanting that same feel out of that particular performance, and that's fine. What I love is you've grown to love that piece in that way. Uh, but different people play different ways, and you have to allow yourself to have people express that. So
Definitely. So absolutely come to one of our concerts. It is going to be a wonderful year. And even if you don't want to watch the orchestra, come and watch Clay because it's really exciting,
it,
honestly, to watch the conductor.
it is visual, not just the conductor, but how the orchestra can move, how the strings move, and then and they're at the front part of the stage. They're easier to see, but great soloists within the orchestra, wind players, they'll move too. So you can see the eye if you look closely at the eyes of the musicians and how they're kind of throwing off the melodic line or just keeping things together visually. It's a visual and oral
It really is.
experience.
It's a full
Yeah.
experience. You engage so many of your senses just by going to a live concert. And Clay did a really good job of putting all the repertoire together for this year. So I'm really excited. It'll be really fun. We're doing so many different
I'm
pieces.
ready to get to work after talking about it
I
right now.
know,
So,
exactly. Einheldenleben is waiting for
yes,
you.
that's right. Right after this turns off, right?
But yeah, please come and check us out. Tickets do go on sale on July 1st. Obviously, we're recording that before this, but come check us out. Season tickets are also on sale as well. Save yourself some money, get all the benefits of becoming a subscriber. You get free drinks, good parking options. We have such a gamut of opportunity for everyone at every stage, every price point. So it's very accessible for
And
everyone.
I'll come out to the lobby right after every concert and stick around.
Exactly. And so do our guest artists. So
Yes,
and our musicians.
yes.
It's a wonderful time to come and just meet everyone. We are very community focused and oriented.
Yeah, we don't want to separate stage and the audience. We want people to get to know each other.
Exactly. It's such a fun time. Thank you for joining us with Portraits of Music from the Richardson Symphony. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more behind-the-scenes stories and inspiring conversations. Prefer a podcast? Find us wherever you podcast. I'm Shauna Morin. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the Symphony.